Hello and welcome. This is Pam. Today we're going to be talking about bladder dysfunction in multiple sclerosis. Many of us that are dealing with MS or other chronic diseases, we're dealing with bladder issues, and it doesn't have to be this way. Bladder issues can really impact our quality of life. They can cause a lot of pain and suffering, and I'm going to share with you today amazing research and successes from people that are recovering from different types of bladder issues, bladder dysfunction, and recovering from multiple sclerosis. If we haven't met, my name is Pam Bartha. I am the author of Become a Wellness Champion and the founder of Live Disease Free. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis over 35 years ago. By the grace of God, I learned early on that what I was dealing with was parasites, a parasitic infestation. So over the years, we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about the different types of infections that are causing MS and other chronic diseases. And today I'm going to share with you how these parasites impact our bladder function and how, when we treat them, we can recover. And I'm going to also share with you amazing science that is like common sense science that they just know that there are various different types of infectious agents, parasites that cause bladder issues in people that have MS, but in also other people. So what I found really interesting, I work with a lot of people that have multiple sclerosis. We have a program that helps people to recover from disease we teach people how to play an active role in their healthcare so that as they're working with their practitioners, they actually reach their health goals. And it's true that a lot of the students I work with, they are dealing with bladder issues. That's really, really common. But I didn't realize that research is showing that like upwards of 80% of people that are diagnosed with multiple sclerosis are dealing with bladder issues. And what's so fascinating is like if multiple sclerosis is solely a disease of our central nervous system, where our immune system is attacking nerve tissue, then why do we have so much bladder dysfunction with MS? Basically, the types of issues that people are dealing with when they have bladder issues is that very often they're getting up several times throughout the night to go to the bathroom. During the day, they're going to the bathroom more often and also feeling a strong urgency to go to the bathroom and also having leakage sometimes. Sometimes they have a hard time starting to urinate, or they might have a hard time emptying their bladder. And it makes it really challenging for people to plan their day because when they go out and about, they want to be close to a bathroom so they don't have an accident. And it's really awful to have that on your mind all the time. So people can either have problems with storing bladder or with emptying the urine or with both. And this condition or these symptoms can lead to chronic, or I should say frequent, urinary tract infections, but also not just the infections, but we could end up with kidney disease in time. So again, this really impacts our quality of life. And although we do have different types of antibiotics and treatments or therapies that we can use to manage the UTIs and to manage the symptoms we're dealing with, we really don't have a cure if we follow standard of care. But if we go and step outside of standard of care, we can recover from bladder dysfunction, we can recover from chronic disease. So it's really important to understand too that bladder dysfunction does not only impact the bladder, but it also can cause more or stronger MS symptoms like spasticity and also fatigue and cognitive issues, but also can trigger multiple sclerosis relapses or flares. There was a 2024 study done, And they looked at about 200 or over 200 people that were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And this was over 2 years that they collected data from over 2 years. And they found that the greatest percentage of hospital visits were caused by UTIs, by MS patients that had urinary tract infections. So this bladder dysfunction is really expensive for our healthcare system. It's very awful for us. We have a lot of pain and suffering, really limits our life. And it actually was more common for us to have visits to the hospital because of bladder issues than if we had neurological symptoms or if we had a fall or if we had an MS attack. So it was right at the top. Again, this is a really big issue. So the study concluded that given the prevalence of bladder dysfunction and multiple sclerosis, it is not surprising that a UTI was the most common reason for admission into the hospital. And so what they found in this study really aligns with what a lot of other researchers have found also, that bladder dysfunction in MS patients is really a major driver for visits to the hospital. So what causes bladder dysfunction in multiple sclerosis? Well, if we look at the standard of care, what our neurologists and our doctors will tell us is that multiple sclerosis is, a lot of them say it's an autoimmune disease where our immune system is attacking our nerve tissue, and then there is nerve damage, and then with the nerve damage, then we will end up having a breakdown in the communication between the nerves in our central nervous system and also the nerves in our bladder. So they'll say that the damage is occurring in the central nervous system. There's nothing you can do about it. We can we can treat the UTIs, we can try to manage the pain and the suffering, but it's really loss of nerve function, and it will progress, and there's really nothing we can do. So they're really assuming that this is permanent and there is no way to fix the problem. So some of their management strategies that they would recommend is like, just don't drink water at night before bed, like maybe after supper, don't drink any more water. That can definitely help a little bit. Pelvic floor exercises, certain medications, catheterization, Botox injections, and then other surgery and a few other therapies. Again, none of these will cure us. They might help to relieve some of the pain and suffering, but again, it's just a progressive thing that we have to live with according to standard of care. So again, these approaches, they are very often invasive, expensive, and they don't address the root cause because they don't feel that we can address the root cause. They feel that it's permanent damage. So here is the big question. If bladder dysfunction is caused by permanent damage to nerves, then why is it that when people go on a low-carb diet, their bladder function improves dramatically, right? If it's just our nerves are damaged, then a diet would not make any difference. But when people go low carb, when they follow a low carb diet, that is one of the first things that improve is their bladder function. I'm going to share some successes from our students. So make sure you let me know, like with your diagnosis, have you been dealing with bladder issues? What kind of success have you had with it? Has anything helped you? So what I'd like you to consider is, like, could there be a root cause for these bladder infections other than the immune system attacking nerve tissue in our central nervous system for no apparent reason? And yes, there's tons of evidence that shows that different types of infections, they can cause bladder dysfunction. So this is well known in science. I'm just bringing it to your attention so that you can see that if you want to go deeper with this, that you will see that that is the case. So let's look at the science. So one of the infections would be schistosomiasis, which is a type of blood fluke. And this is really common, that it infects the bladder. And the symptoms that it will give you would be number one, chronic inflammation, fibrosis. It burrows itself into the bladder wall, and it can cause scarring also. Symptoms that we would be dealing with are urinary urgency, frequency, pain, blood in the urine, bladder obstruction, and this can also cause cancer. So schistosomiasis can also cause bladder cancer. So this is a lot more common than we realize. Like, I live in North America, and we don't talk about flukes. We don't talk about schistosomiasis. But honestly, these flukes are in our fresh water. Our geese can become infected with them. And so we can get, it's called swimmer's itch. And I was just shocked when I found out that we can actually get flukes from swimming in our local lakes. So this is something that we can be exposed to. And yes, our immune system should deal with it if we do get in contact with them with the lake. But very often parasites get past our immune system, then they start to really become entrenched in our body for various reasons. And then there is another one, and it is it's called a protozoa. It's a single cell parasite, and it's Trichomonas. And that parasite causes inflammation of the bladder and the urethra, and it causes bladder urgency or urinary urgency, pain during urination, increased frequency, and this is a sexually transmitted parasite. Another one is toxoplasmosis. This one would be passed through cats, especially through their feces, and it is another protozoa. So protozoa are single cell parasites. They affect the nervous system, but they can also cause bladder dysfunction, and we would get exposed to this protozoa through contaminated food, water, but also, especially if we have cats in the house, through their feces. Another one would be different types of bacteria. So bacteria can also cause lots of bladder issues. And number one, E. coli. Some of you may have had bladder infections, and you might have had an E. coli infection, but there are other bacteria, Klebsiella, Proteus, Enterococcus, Staphylococcus. So many different types of bacteria can infect the bladder and can cause all kinds of inflammatory symptoms, such as cystitis with symptoms of urgency, frequency, burning during urination, and pelvic pain. And then it can cause recurrent or severe urinary tract infections, which can lead to urinary retention and bladder or chronic bladder dysfunction. So many of us are familiar with like E. coli infections. So when we are having tests done because we feel we could possibly have a bladder infection, then what's really important is to understand that they're only testing for a very few different types of microbes. They're not testing for all the possible bacteria, fungi, and other parasites, protozoa, that can cause bladder dysfunction. They're only testing for a few. Lyme disease. Lyme disease is really linked with multiple sclerosis. So Borrelia, it can affect the bladder. It is a type of bacteria, and there are co-infections, and again, they can cause cystitis, so frequent urination, nighttime urination, bladder pain, and incontinence. Also, fungal infections can affect the bladder. So maybe you've heard of Candida, which is a type of yeast, and that can also infect the bladder. So this could be fungal cystitis leading to urgency, frequency, burning, and pelvic pain. So it's bacteria, fungi, protozoa. I don't know about worms. I didn't see any, but possibly. So there are many different types of microbes, parasites. They cause us harm, and it's well known in science that they cause all kinds of bladder symptoms. So why is it that we're not looking deeper besides basic E. coli, etc.? Why are we not looking to see if there are other different types of parasites that we're involved with? They just think, no, you have multiple sclerosis, you just have bladder issues because you have this disease that comes with the disease. There's nothing you can do. If you get the occasional urinary tract infection or regular urinary tract infection, we'll treat it with antibiotics, but you just got to live with it. We could possibly use Botox injections or things to help ease the pain and agony of it, but there is no cure. There is no going any further with this. So then what I found really interesting is that before antibiotics were discovered, the ketogenic diet was used to treat urinary tract infections. So bladder infections. Interesting, 1933, they had great success by having their patients go low carb, that it really, really helped to decrease the bladder symptoms. And we know that. That's one of the first symptoms that improve when our students follow the Live Disease-Free diet and they take their carbs really low, is that their bladder improves. So if they knew this in 1933, then why is our doctor not telling us about this? This is a simple thing that we can do at home. They could be like, okay, you've got a urinary tract infection. Here's your antibiotics. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but why not try to decrease your carbs significantly? That might really help you. I'm giving you this option, so there's something you can do to possibly improve your quality of life, because we've known in the past, in science, in medicine, that low carb diets really help the bladder. Why are our doctors not doing this? Why do they just send us home with the antibiotics until we come in with the next urinary tract infection? It's really awful. And I'm not blaming our doctors. Obviously, if they haven't learned this, if they haven't been exposed to this information, they don't know. But you can find this information. It's readily available, really helpful when you decrease carbs when you have cancer. It significantly helps cancer. Diabetes, low carb diets are huge for diabetes, for autism, for controlling seizures, for improving stress, urinary incontinence in women that are overweight. It significantly reduces prostate size and markers in oxidative stress. It alleviates symptoms in men with male accessory gland inflammation. It also is associated with reduced need for alpha blockers. So this is just a very small list. Basically, any type of chronic disease that is caused by a type of infection, whether it's bacteria, fungi, worms, or protozoa, when you go low carb, you notice that symptoms improve. Because, as I've mentioned before, their favorite source of energy, parasites' favorite source of energy, are simple sugars and carbohydrates. So as you decrease the carbs, they are more quiet and inflammation decreases and people start to feel better. And all diseases, including MS, are inflammatory diseases. So there's many other conditions where low carb diet are helpful. And if bladder dysfunction is solely caused by nerve damage, again, then why would a low carb diet be helpful? That's a huge question to ask your doctor. Say, doctor, I'm having all these bladder issues and thank you for giving me this antibiotic to save my life, to treat the infection, but I'd really like to not have them anymore. I read that in 1933, doctors knew that a low carb diet was really helpful. Why would that be? If you're telling me that there's nothing I can do, and what you can do is start the low carb diet and say, it's really helping me a lot. Why would that be, doctor? Why would it help me a lot if it's permanent nerve damage that's causing the bladder dysfunction, right? It's insane. So what can you do about this? How can you take charge of your life? How can you take back your health in your life? Number one, you have to decide to be the advocate for yourself. You cannot afford to leave your health solely in the hands of any one healthcare expert. Your health is your greatest asset. So you have to take charge. It's not hard, but you have to decide, am I going to continue on this path of more and more disability, or am I going to take a different path? Am I going to take a path that is based on science. It's not based on, well, let's just keep doing the same thing and hope that we get a different result. But it's like, no, this is actual science, and it actually makes sense, and it actually could potentially help me, and it certainly won't hurt me. So that's what you would do. Number one is decrease your carbs. Try it. Go on a low carb diet. It has to be low enough though. If you're still quite high, these parasites don't need a lot of food. So go down to 30 to 40 total grams of carbs per day. I've got all of the information for the diet on our website, livediseasefree.com. It is free for you there under research. Please use it, implement it, see if it works for you. I guarantee you, if you get your carbs low enough, it'll be life-changing for you. It can be just incredible, whether it's pain, whether it's cognitive function, whether it's bladder function, dysfunction. Bladder is usually the first one to improve. So number one, take your carbs down low enough and see that it's working. And then number two, get help. Find somebody that can help you to treat these parasites that are making you sick, that are making you disabled, that are causing the bladder dysfunction. So look for doctors, start talking to them. And if they don't have the experience, if they're not talking like I am in all my videos, then you might need some help from us. You're more than welcome. We have the Live Disease Free plan. We have people joining every week, and we would be honored to support you. What we do is we help you to access the proper treatments, doctors, whatever you need. And the nice thing is when you learn this skill, you'll have it for the rest of your life. There are so many tests that you don't need. There are so many therapies that are not going to help you. There are so many supplements that are a waste of money. What you need to do is get ready to treat and treat as quickly as possible. And that is going to give you the greatest quality of life. And your bladder dysfunction can be one of the first things to improve. So go ahead and type your questions in the question box. I'll answer a couple in a minute. And I'm just going to go to some successes that came in because I wanted to share some really important just updates from some of my students. So one student, and she is not done treating yet. She has treated several cycles. And some of these people have MS and some don't. So bladder issues are not just only part of multiple sclerosis. They are also part of other chronic diseases. So number one, this one student shared that my symptoms are under control. So I am still having occasional unsteadiness, but otherwise her symptoms are under control. My bladder urgency has significantly improved. I always make it to the bathroom on time now, and I have done so for years now. So this is long lasting. So people that are recovering, they are able to get rid of the bladder dysfunction, not to have to live with it. The second student said, this student is getting ready to treat. So we have in our Live Disease Free plan, we have the prep phase where people are getting ready to treat. And then we have the treatment phase. So this student is just in the getting ready to treat phase. So just with the diet and starting to support the body, she shared, over the last week, I have noticed less clonus, which are muscle contractions in my leg, as well as noticeable improved strength during my physiotherapy exercises on the floor. And these are noticeable improvements. And my bladder urgency has been so much better this past week also. Next student shared, so this student has followed the prep phase, has really just is doing like the oxygen. I can't say the name of the oxygen. If you want to learn about it, you can look at our video about oxygen therapy in multiple sclerosis. Also using oxygen to treat parasites. You'd find that on our website, livediseasefree.com, or on Rumble. I can't talk about it here. But this student shared, I am tripping less, so falling less. My bladder issues are getting so much better. Before, I used to get up at least 5 to 6 times at night, where now I might get up to go to the bathroom 1 to 2 times per night. So when we get up 5 or 6 times a night, we're not sleeping well. We're getting very, very little sleep. And then that is going to make these infections stronger because our immune system is weaker. So when we can start sleeping through the night because our bladder is not as urgent and we're not having frequent urination, then we're able to sleep for more and more hours. Our body is able to start healing and getting stronger. So it's part of recovery. It's so important for recovery. The next student shared, so this student is treating, so shared this little update while treating. I'm having less bladder urgency, less numbness and tingling in my hands, and less brain fog and more energy. How amazing is that? The next student getting ready to treat, so hasn't really treated at this point. My constipation has improved. Urination continues to improve. I only get up once at night. Before the Live Disease-Free diet, it was often 3 times at night, and I am sleeping well, and now I'm able to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night, and I'm sleeping until about 6 a.m. in the morning. So that is really good quality sleep. The hours of sleep before midnight are very healing, and that she can sleep for, over 8 hours of sleep, like 9 hours of sleep, is amazing, because a lot of us have sleep issues, and the bladder dysfunction can cause a lot of this issue. The next student shared, I've been following the Live Disease-Free diet, and I started to treat. So the wins that she shared is that my bladder is better. I no longer have a sense of urgency. For the first time in my life, I'm having a daily bowel movement. My sleep is consistently at least 7 hours, so she still has a little bit of work to do in that area. And my spasticity, the muscle contractions, have improved. The next student, before treating, my sinus congestion and bleeding, so we had bleeding and sinus congestion, have significantly cleared, almost cured. I haven't had any issues with my overactive bladder since I started the Live Disease-Free diet. My rashes are improving, and I'm not using topical treatments for that. I love this diet. I noticed my throat irritation. He has had a lot of phlegm, had a hard time talking, so it's easier for him to talk now. Amazing. The next student getting ready to treat, I'm definitely seeing improvements in the form of bladder urgency from the Live Disease-Free diet, and he's adding some minerals too. The next student, when I began the Live Disease-Free diet, I did see improvements. My bladder was less spastic. I was able to hold my urine and not to have the urgency to urinate. Also, the trips to the bathroom during the night was reduced. Another student shared, so she's getting ready to treat. I'm feeling pretty good. I have more energy and I'm feeling more alert. I am sleeping much more sound at night, and my bladder is better also. Just one more here. And then this student shared, I have more control of my bladder. When I ate more carbs, I had more urinary urgency and frequency. During the night, I have a deeper sleep. I get up just one time at night to go to the bathroom, or sometimes I don't have to get up during the night, and I have a much more active day during the day, and my mood is so much more hopeful. So this is amazing. So this is truly one of the first symptoms that we notice in our students when they start to go low carb, is they start to notice improvements in their bladder function. They're not getting up through the night. They're able to, instead of 5 or 6 times, maybe it's once or twice, then they're able to sleep better. Then they're waking up feeling more refreshed. They're feeling more positive, and it really helps the healing process. And then as they improve more and more, then when they're out and about, they don't have to worry about looking for a bathroom. They don't have to worry about leakage. It's not stressful. They can just go out and have fun and not even think about it anymore. If this is the first time that you have found me, if this is like, wow, there's something that I can do to actually improve my bladder function, yes, there is. But you have to take a different approach. If you continue doing what's not working, you will find that you just get worse and worse off in time. So what's really important is that you take a different approach. You go through the research that I have. You'll see that the inflammation for the bladder dysfunction is caused by infections. You can treat them. You can recover from them. And it's not just the bladder that's going to heal, but your whole body will heal. And that's the whole purpose of what we want. But it takes taking a different path and taking a different approach. So if this is all new to you, you might be skeptical. You might be thinking like, really? Is that possible? Then make sure to watch my masterclass training. Go onto our website, livediseasefree.com. You'll see there are a lot of different topics that I cover under our blog posts. It's like a gold mine. You will absolutely love it. So go to livediseasefree.com under blog and pick and choose a topic. Start to learn about the parasites. Start to learn about how they not only affect bladder dysfunction, but how they affect so many other things. And then if you get to the place where you really believe in your heart, like people that reach out to me and they're looking for a plan and they need support, we would love to support you in the Live Disease Free plan. You would watch my masterclass training, and then you could book a time to chat with me to make sure it's a good fit for you, get all your questions answered, and I would be so honored to support you. I hope that you have a wonderful week. If you enjoy this research that I'm sharing with you, showing you that there is a better way to treat multiple sclerosis and bladder dysfunction and other chronic diseases, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye for now.